Collapse of a small section of the ceiling at the popular Northgate shopping centre in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg has not only raised issues around safety, but the liability business owners can face if people get injured. This might happen even if it is the weather that causes the safety risk and not the structure of the building itself. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is in Soweto tracking the importance of storm-proofing properties as Gauteng forecasted to continue experiencing heavy rains well into the new year. Ntokozo, I understand you're now at the double-story building that collapsed in Doornkop. Investigations are still underway to determine whether the heavy rains contributed to the collapse. If so, what sort of liability would the owners face?
Well, we do plan to still head out there, Linda, with MMC expected to pay a visit to the families that lost lives. There are 3 lives lost yesterday, so we are still to head out there. We're outside the Diepkloof Mall to really get a grip or understanding into the sort of liability that is there when such damage could happen at a commercial property. Investigation with that double-story building still underway, Linda, so still to be determined whether it was in fact the structure of the building that caused the collapse or that was fueled by the storms that did take place. Now, Linda, it was holiday seasons. I don't know when the last time you were in a mall, but every time you do come into a mall, you would likely see a disclaimer that's saying that the center is not responsible for any theft or damage or fires, and possibly storm waters as well that's causing damage or any injuries. But to help us understand the sort of rights that consumers do have if they find themselves in a building that is compromised due to the severe weather and what recourse they may have is Phumulani Nyembe, who is with the Nyembe and Associates. So much, Phumulani, for talking to us. Now, earlier on, we spoke to your brother, who is agents buy to look out for side of more. To Linda, oftentimes you'll find that sign that says the center has no liability. When it comes to damage caused by things like such as floods or storms, what liability do centers have?
Indeed, thanks, Ntokozo. Indeed, as you know, when we visit such places like these malls, there's signage of which by law it's supposed to be there and it must be visible for everybody to see it. Those signage is there just to caution you that in terms of slippery, you lose something, your car, the owners and the management, the liability to them is very minimal, per se. But however, that is just for limitations in terms of the law. It doesn't mean when the mall has shown after the investigation that there was gross negligence. For example, we saw a mall where the roof collapsed. Surely, there should have been inspection, they should have been checking all the time they are building and all that with the severe weather conditions that we have. So they cannot just now escape using that clause to say you were notified that when you come to this mall, you can meet your creator anytime. It does not work like that. Nobody then will visit malls and all that.
Absolutely. And I suppose, especially in communities like this, you would come into a shop and you see buckets scattered across the floor with the roof dripping. And I suppose most consumers are like, let me just get on with the business of the day and get off the shop. But what you're saying is if consumers are to be heard in a commercial property, they do have recourse.
They do have recourse, and it's very sad, as you say, we're here in Soweto, Diepkloof Square, and the population around there hardly even speak the language that I speak. They are more fluent with your Venek, Zulu, Tswana, Sotho, and Tsonga and all that. And you find those signs written in English, and then they expect those people to come here knowing. However, our people, all what they want usually, they just want to come and shop, and when such things happen, they usually just sit at home. Maybe they think they don't have any recourse. Why here then available as attorneys to assist, to enforce the rights, and also assist the mall owners and management to know that you cannot just take consumers' money without safeguarding their safety and all that.
Absolutely. And now, as Linda mentioned, we heard of another collapse yesterday in Soweto, that double story where 3 lives were lost, including a child. For property like that was perhaps a personal asset that someone that someone had, but then actually used it as a commercial property, either for rentals and so on, and something like this happens, what happens in the case like that? Is it similar rules that apply then as a commercial property such as a mall, or do they have slightly different legal obligations?
It's really sad what we had happened in Dorenkopi and Soweto, where that structure fell and 3 people lost their lives. It's very important for our people to understand that once you take your family home, you turn it into a business, you have entered into the terrain of business. You better then be prepared, be equipped to have even insurances that are safeguarding you. So those people who have lost their lives, whether maybe they were just visiting, they've booked a room and all that, they have all the recourse to claim to the owner for the loss that they've suffered. So really,
would that be a civil case, Phumulani, if those families did choose to follow up that case?
Indeed, it will be. Even the state has a case to pursue, because lives have been lost there. They can investigate. Upon the outcome of the investigation, it will give us direction where we should go to. But those families, they have a civil case that they can take against the owner of that house.
And just before I let you go, Phumulani, key takeaways for the grannies at home that are possibly watching, that are maybe still going to go do the grocery shopping, stationery shopping and uniforms shopping still coming up, the key rights that they should know when they enter buildings that are then compromised due to weather and they do find themselves hurt. What are the key takeaway for them as consumers that they should always have at the top of their mind?
Indeed, our consumers and the grannies and the grandfathers who always collect their SASSA monies around these malls, when you enter such a building, you must also assess the risk yourself. Is it safe for you to enter? It's no use for you to enter and hoping that you will claim after. So it's very important that they check, is this place safe? If maybe they are cleaning the floor, did they put a signage to say, floor slippery, don't walk here? But obviously, when it's raining, the roof is collapsing, it is best to seek cover, run away from such places. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phumulani, for talking to us. Phumulani Nyembe, of course, Linda with Nyembe and Associates Inc., just giving us sort of the legal context when it comes to damage that is caused by storm waters, whether it's a personal property that someone owns as an asset or a commercial property like a mall, as we saw at the Northgate Shopping Centre. I did reach out to management at the Northgate Shopping Centre, but have not heard back from them yet in terms of how they are going about the fix. The mall, as we understand it, is still operational, as it was a small section that was impacted. But whether the mall management is then doing the work that Phumulani just spoke about, that they are aware that the storms are there, the warnings have been given, level 2 over the next few days, is then the commercial owners of that property doing the due diligence to ensure that the consumers are safe, and also the legal ramifications if you turn your property into a commercial space, the sort of liability that people should be aware of that may come running or come knocking if something does take place and lives are lost or people are hurt. Linda, we are still to hear from the insurance industry in terms of what consumers and even property owners can do to further storm-proof their property.